Hello, everyone. I would like to start by thanking everyone for tuning in. All of your support and advice has been much appreciated. I've been trying to implement what I can. As for this next episode, it will be about a different character, one that will be crossing paths with Laura very soon. Now, it's time for a story, so tuck in and good night. Despite their attempts to do things differently than the way they did things on Earth, the Monarchy Empire is still one of the most powerful military forces on this side of the galaxy. However, they are not tyrants or conquerors, only giving help to those that ask for it, and only installing their system of government to those that want it. Meaning that there are one or multiple planets in between, separating those with territories of the Monarchy Empire. Sometimes, though very rarely, the Empire will not even become one of the most powerful governing forces on a planet, due to a more effective or efficient governing system already in place, one with policies that the Monarchy Empire will not hesitate to amend its own with. Monarchy's mission, not out of pride, but out of the wisdom in knowing that one problem, in part, if left unchecked, can affect the whole. As not to forget the butterfly effect the Empire was founded upon in the first place. However, in recent centuries, things have begun to slip through the cracks. Because while the people underneath the Empire's rule are happy with few exceptions, when it comes to the governing, clerical, and military side of things, it's far from perfect. In this particular system, there are 4 planets considered territories of the Monarchy Empire, and in between 2 of them, there are 3 that are not. And on one such planet lies a man in a situation unbefitting of a former hero of the Empire, one Chase Lindell. He has lightly tanned skin, a 5 o'clock shadow, and brown hair that goes down to his shoulders. It is pinned back on the right side by an item of his own invention called the focus lens. It is composed of a silver metal earpiece that hooks around his right ear and connects to the gray metal frame arm of a black rectangular lens over his right eye. He is currently beneath white sheets beside a woman with pink skin and metallic silver hair. Silhouette of her shapely body is gently outlined by the covers as she lays on her side beside him. I'm up. Chase quickly says in order to stop the projection of blaster fire into his ears in order to wake him up. He opens his eyes to see the white of the hotel ceiling. The hotel has green walls and a beige shag carpet. On the wall, in front of the foot of the bed, there sits a shelf, and on top of that is an adjustable screen projector. On the west wall, there are 2 doors. The door in the middle being the exit for the hotel room, and the door on the right corner being the entrance to the bathroom of the hotel room. On the east side of the hotel room, there are 4 floor-to-ceiling windows taking up most of the east wall. On the south side of the hotel room, there is the bed's headboard. On either side of the bed, there is a nightstand. Top of the nightstand sits a lamp projecting a holographic ball of golden fire, filling the room with warm, dim light. The focus lens's augmented reality display has a small gray-scale rectangle in the top right-hand corner of Chase's vision. It is portraying a bulky, muscular humanoid. On-screen measurements put him at 6'4", 270 pounds, and say that he is most likely male. His hair seems to glint off the light and go all the way down to his waist. He wears an open vest and loose pants with closed-toed shoes, revealing his straightened and well-groomed chest hair, as well as hair in the same state along his forearms. A simulated X-ray shows immense tension of muscles around the body, as well as the tightening of skin and musculature around certain hair follicles. An on-screen readout says, likely species, Cerulean. Likely emotional state, murderous rage. On-screen countdown timer reads 1 minute, 27 seconds, till destination, room 347. Chase pulls off the covers, revealing an athletic, well-defined muscular body and black boxer shorts. That's the same species as... Oh, great. Lens, please give me double that next time. Those last words managed to wake her. Well, you're up early. Yep, something came up. Chase begins by putting on a pair of black joggers with metal plates on the shins, calves, and knees. Once the pants are on, they are tightened into place. You had a wonderful time. Are you sure you can't stay any longer? Well, it appears someone has come to kill me. So, I guess all good things come to an end. You know what they say. He then puts on a gray shirt, followed by a brown leather jacket with a pauldron on the left side, built into the coat. Nobody says that. What? She is suddenly fully awakened by the unsettling news, quickly sitting up and clutching the covers to her chest, as if whatever's coming could be stopped by an inch of fabric, leaving Chase secretly glad that she gets an as uncomfortable renaissance as he did, given that he suspects this is her fault. Are you sure? How do you know? You've been in this kind of business for as long as I have. You get an eye for such things. He then puts over onto his right shoulder and across his torso a sash of metal rectangular plates. Last night, when we talked at the bar, you didn't happen to leave out any significant details, did you? Well, what does that have to do with anything? Well, that's not the know that I wanted. He reaches underneath his pillow and pulls 2 silver bracers connected to black gloves that are a light neon blue on the palm side, placing them onto his arms and hands right then left. Are they gonna hurt me? Not likely, but just in case, I'd start thinking up a really good apology. And lastly, putting on a pair of flat-soled leather boots with metal plating on both the heels, soles, and toes. The tops of these boots slot neatly beneath the metal plates on the pants. A line of silver quills pierced through the door that would normally open upwards, but with holes placed into it along the top in a straight line, it is easily kicked down. Cerulean hair can pierce through steel. This is not how I want to learn that information. And there he stands, his bulky pink frame filling the doorway, every hair on his body standing straight up like long, thin metal spikes. Promise, this isn't what it looks like. How was work?
I got fired!
Chase begins walking around the bed and moving towards the window, putting up both his hands in a placating gesture. Hey, I totally know where you're coming from. I used to work for the Empire.
You touched my wife! I cannot allow you to live!
As he says this, every hair on his body points towards Chase's direction. Got it, not in a talking mood. I'll just defenestrate myself and get out of your hair. Still not made it past the foot of the bed yet, Chase hinges and prepares to jump. The hairs fly from his body towards Chase, varying in size from a few inches to a couple of feet. The moment they shoot from the follicle, Chase jumps. He opted to jump into a spinning backflip after the focus lens predicted the path of each individual needle the moment they were sent towards him. Luckily for her, Ceruleans produce a sweat that causes the powerful steel quills to turn back into hair upon contact. Unluckily for Chase, he is bone dry and of Earth origin. Chase continues his spinning backflip at the exact speed and rotation in order to dodge the metal quills as they fly through the room. This eventually ends with him upside down, slamming his back through the window. He grits his teeth to bite back the pain, for the holes in the window did not soften it even by a little bit. As he is doubled over, so that his back slams through the window first, and the front of his body and his feet are still facing the man. He bends in his left leg at the knee and then circles his right leg so that his shin clashes against the side of the metal quills, knocking them away, giving him just enough time to fall beneath the windowsill. He then presses two buttons, one red and one blue, on the near side of his right bracer. Then he turns to reorient himself so that the front of his body is facing the ground so that he may meet it head on, all while spreading out his arms and legs in order to slow his fall. Okay, this is a 3-story fall. Now do I tuck and roll or safety tuck? He hits the concrete before he can finish the thought, forming spider webs of cracks surrounding him on all sides. The remaining needles and quills bounce against his body harmlessly after following him down. And then he gets up, only thanks to the energy barrier he activated after breaking through the window. He gets up unceremoniously, dusting himself off, stretching his arms, and popping his back. I would have loved to have gotten a chance to stretch first, but at least I'm alive, I guess. He then turns his head to wave at the shocked Earth Origin receptionist sitting behind a desk beyond the clear sliding doors of the lobby of the hotel, who now has a story to tell that with luck no one will believe. Chase turns back forward and begins walking down the hotel's walkway until he reaches a parking lot. Once he passes 4 spaces, he finds a small one-person hovercraft. It is a gray metal rectangular prism that narrows in the middle, so that one may straddle it with their legs on either side. It is hollow in the back and round in the front, with 2 handlebars that come out the top of the front side. He swings one leg up and over the craft, allowing him to straddle it between his legs, before grabbing a hold of the throttle and turning it on. The hovercraft begins to lift gently off the ground, before shooting straight upwards so that it can clear the buildings. Lens, navigate me an airway path straight to the city's docking bay. The green line is overlaid on top of the augmented reality display from the focus lens. Chase revs the throttle on the handlebars of the hovercraft, and a purple-white jet shoots from the back as the plasma ion engines generate their thrust, accelerating him towards the city's docking bay. In an instant, he breaks multiple speed barriers. All the while, the energy field covering his body makes it as though it is still unmoving. Chase has developed technology capable of projecting 2 barriers, one that reflects energy and force, and another that absorbs it. The synergy of these 2 make it so that sudden stops and sudden movement are non-lethal for beings of Earth origin, and they allow for Chase to arrive at the city's docking bay in a matter of seconds. The docking bay is a very long red building with various gray metal cracks that riddle its exterior due to the many quick getaways its inhabitants have had to make over the years, being quickly welded back in order to ensure that the building is properly pressurized for the quality housing of the vehicles, those from its patrons. This particular docking bay is capable of storing up to 100 ships. Each hangar door is 30 meters wide and 30 meters tall. This is particularly the size limit for civilian spacecraft. Any larger, and then you'd have to weather the storm of questions as to why you need that much space in the first place. Chase lands in front of a 30-foot wide, 30-foot tall set of glass sliding doors, right beside a help desk that's behind a glass screen. The genderless person behind the glass is a being of pure golden energy, wearing gray mechanics coveralls. Chase quickly removes a card from the inside of his leather jacket's pocket and shows it to them. A voice in his mind says, "Thank you for choosing our bay, and I do hope you're not in a rush." "No, not one that I know of, at least." "Could you open up though? I do actually have a schedule, and I really don't have all day." 2 clear doors part left and right from each other and allow Chase to pass. He turns left to find his ship in a prime parking spot right next to the nearest hangar door from the entrance. His ship, personally designed, though not personally built, is in the shape of a black teardrop, though flat on the bottom and slightly round on the top. It is the height that would accommodate 2 stories. The thrusters are placed on either side of the triangle where the teardrop begins to narrow to a point in the back. At that point, the ship's walkable area is lowered to 1 story in order to make room for the engines. It is currently stationed atop the tripod of wheels that eject from the bottom of its frame. As Chase approaches it on the hovercraft, a ramp falls from the bottom of the front of the ship, and a trap door begins to slide open, allowing Chase to easily drive the hovercraft up the ramp and into his ship. Chase enters, the floor closes beneath him, and the ramp rises back into its housing on the ship. This room is as dark as the ship's exterior, the only light coming from 3 tubes, 3 meters wide and 4 meters tall, big enough to contain most sentient species this side of the galaxy, containing a green liquid that bubbles within its housing, as this is the ship's cargo bay, meant to contain a very dangerous type of cargo. Chase parks his hovercraft on the wall next to that in which the tubes are placed. He then gets off of it, and the bike begins to lower itself to the ground. Afterwards, he walks over to a door on the wall on the opposite side of the room as the room's only light source. The door opens upwards on its sliding track as Chase approaches it. He enters the door that closes behind him to see a room just as dark as the one he left, its only light source being the light coming in through the window that stretches from one side of the wall to the other in a wide curve, letting in the light from the docking bay and the dim glow from the control panel, as this room is where the ship's helm is located. Green, open up today's priorities. Inside the ship's onboard computer, Chase installed the same program that he uses in the focus lens. He calls it his priority screen. They are not connected in any way, as when it comes to programming into computer systems, Chase is far from what you describe as a genius. And on the screen, right in front of where Chase is standing, appears a rotund man with white hair and purple skin, in a white shirt with a gray vest and gray matching pants. His image is placed in a rectangle alongside words that read, Jeppo Delonigan, bounty 80,000 credits. Bounty recently doubled due to the new circulation of a designer drug of Jeppo's own envisioning, bonuses for which can be negotiated if brought in alive and for questioning about co-conspirators. Alright, screen, bring up his last known location. The screen brings up a gently rotating sphere representing a blue planet with white continents. It has a single red dot pulsating and words beneath it that read Planet Marrakesh, City Corwin. Alright, well that's a planet and a city. Do I know of any info brokers that might be able to give me more specific information, or do I have to tear my way through the entire town? Screen shows a woman, likely of Earth origin, with ivory skin and black hair, wearing a long red leather coat over a black tank top, white baggy pants, and black rain boots. Name, Esha Turan. Background, info broker of 10 years for the criminal underground of Corwin. Likely location, a bar called Retsy's Slipperies. 5 p.m. of Corwin's time. Room of error, 3 hours. 3 hours room for error. Am I really that stupid? I know this is based on previous routines, but maybe I can lower it to a tighter time frame. He could not. 3 hours later at the bar, Chase would find himself 3 hours deep into a bar tab, sober only due to his well-honed enforcer physiology, training that has still remained useful to him even after 3 years of bounty hunting after leaving the Empire. It even granted him the discipline to not have to look back every time the bar's doors opened, so when his mark finally came in and sat 4 seats beside him, his surprise was genuine. Wow, smart, confident, and good-looking. Why don't you leave some for the rest of us?
Well, what crawled in your breakfast this morning? I mean, how could you even tell those things from a glance anyway?
It's in the way you carry yourself, like you know something I don't. Besides, what do I know? I'm just a dumb guy after all.
Am I really that obvious?
As he begins to spare her a glance, the focus lens reveals to Chase all of her concealed weapons as if she was wearing them on top of her clothing, instead of beneath them. A combat rifle draped diagonally across her back, 2 wrist-mounted pistols, 1 for each arm, another pair of pistols, 1 in each boot, 5 small disc-shaped plasma grenades wrapped around the inside of her waistband, their detonator inside a bundle of her dark hair, hidden discreetly behind a hairpin, which couldn't possibly be comfortable. Chase doesn't dignify her with a response, instead opting to take another swig from his blue drink.
You know, I haven't seen you around here before. With that choice of armor, I might mistake you for a bug.
I'm a fan of the fighting style. Plus, you can't tell me there's a fighter this side of the galaxy that doesn't want one of those guns. Plus, these little accessories got you talking to me, didn't they?
Well, you've certainly piqued my interest.
Enough to let me buy you a drink?
I don't see why not. Barkeep will have what he's having.
The mixologist behind the counter pours the same drink Chase has been downing like a man after war and slides it over to Esha, who takes a swig and then sets it down.
Well, I must say you are quite the man of class. Your eye for detail is only matched by your taste in drinks.
Oh, this is just something I picked up. He's been picking it up and down for the past hour. I figured the bartender would betray me. That's why I waited here ordering other things until I got a little lower of a time frame before ordering her favorite.
There's nothing to be ashamed of. It's good stock. You know, I happen to be quite fond of Carmian slaw. You know, it comes from these hills on the southern hemisphere of the planet Carmia, where they mix it from two sources, one of them the azure.
As Chase begins tuning her out, he raises an eyebrow and slowly turns towards her direction, fully looking towards her for the first time in this conversation, pretending to be genuinely paying attention to what she has to say, nodding in affirmation and occasionally widening his eyes in amazement or suspense. Male, female, or otherwise, info brokers are all the same. They got into this line of business because they like hearing themselves talk. If you can get them started and make them feel comfortable while they're doing it, they'll stop when they're done, and you might even end up with a favor.
And that's how they get it here.
Oh, truly fascinating. How do you get this information? I doubt anyone's posting such a proprietary process on the interlinks.
I just so happen to deal in information.
Both of Chase's eyebrows raise at this new revelation. Now the tricky part, looking more interested in this without looking too much more interested, as to not seem interested at all in everything she just said up until now. What, you sell information? How does that work exactly?
Industry secret. Can't get too high on my own supply. Besides, the only reason I told you is because I assume you're in some interesting work as well. Or was I wrong?
Oh, me? I'm just a transporter.
The kind that doesn't ask any questions?
Impressive. You got it in one. Yep, that's right. You've got it, I'll move it. No questions asked. However, to answer the question you asked me when we started talking, my morning was a dumpster fire, one that left no time for breakfast.
Yes, I must say I'm more than a little bit curious as why you'd come here and drink so much.
As she says this, the bartender refills his glass once more. Chase begins retelling the story of what happened to him when he woke up, opting to replace the free fall with a slow climb down the building.
Well, it seems like your night companion left out quite pertinent information. I would never do that to you if you were one of my customers.
Oh really? Well, it just so happens I might actually require your services. See, the real trouble happened after I got to work. I ran afoul of some Monarchy Empire ships and my navigation systems got damaged. I was making a run for Depot de Lonigan. I know he's somewhere near the city, I just don't know exactly where he is. So now I'm sitting at this bar drinking my failures away.
Aw, that's terrible. After the rude awakening you had too. You know what? This one's on the house. Depot de Lonigan's at a nightclub he owns called the Darkened Star. I recommend you find some way to contact him first. It'll be crawling with his goons, and they're not that welcoming. I would hate to find out something bad happened to you, again.
Nah, I couldn't do that to you. How about this? If your information's legit, I'll be sure to send you half what I get paid for the drop.
That sounds fine with me.
Out his hand, and she shakes it. Oh, and I'll probably need a way to contact you in order to send funds.
I hope this wasn't just some elaborate ploy for you to get my number.
As she says this, she lifts up her right arm and pulls down her sleeve, revealing a watch with a screen on it.
Ready when you are.
Chase adjusts the frame arm of his lens, first wiring the payment for his tab to the bar. I'm ready now. As they both swipe on their respective devices, they both receive a 20-digit string of code that they can only assume is a means to contact each other in the future. Well, thanks for the help, and I hope to see you around.
Well, I hope you don't die.
He rushes past her through the doors of the bar, and as far as she knows, he's just a smuggler late for a delivery, not a bounty hunter on a very tight schedule, trying to pack in as many bodies as possible. Once out of the bar, he walks down a walkway to a parking lot and walks past 2 spaces to where his hovercraft is parked, then gets on. He grabs the handlebars and the craft begins to lift into the air. It continues to lift up until it has passed some of the taller buildings. Lens set a course through the airways to the darkened star. A green line overlays itself across Chase's vision as it charts the course. With a twist of the throttle, a purple-white burst of plasma fires from the back of the hovercraft, sending Chase accelerating towards his destination. Chase stops his hovercraft above a building in front of the bar owned by Jeppo DeLonigan. He lands on top of that building, and across the street he sees 2 guards. They wear armor made of black plates with helmets that cover the top halves of their faces. They each carry a mid-sized plasma rifle with a triangular butt and a large rectangle before the barrel. Chase walks down the side of the roof before pressing 2 buttons on the near side of his right bracer. Jumps over the side of the roof, landing 1 foot in front of the other, bending at the knees until he's low enough to tap the ground with his left hand. His landing still causing a spiderweb of cracks to form around the point of impact on the pavement. He then lifts up slowly, raising his right forearm in order to press the same buttons and deactivate the barrier. He's across the street in front of them, but 10 meters to the left of the guards. Chase begins walking forward when the 2 men on either side of the door aim their rifles his way. The guard on the right motions with his rifle. "That's right, keep stepping. We were getting kinda bored anyway." Chase stops when he reaches the side of the street that the bar is on, now standing 5 meters back from the guards and 10 meters to their left. He slowly and carefully lifts his hands in a mock surrender. "Rapid fire," he says in a whisper just loud enough for his left bracer to hear and shift into place, just before he takes a step. And as he does so, the lens plays a muzzle flare the split second before it actually happens. So as the left guard fires and then the right, Chase points his left hand in a clenched fist and fires 2 shots in that order at the same time as them. 4 blasts collide with each other, exploding in a cloud of smoke and sparks. From behind the plasmic smokescreen, Chase rolls to the side to get fully to the left of the 2 guards, so that they are in a straight line. Concussive blast. This time, as he points his clenched fist towards the nearest guard to him, only a single blast comes out of the bracer, and as it strikes the guard on the left side of his ribcage, there is a sickening crunch before he is sent flying into his ally, killing him on the spot and knocking his ally out cold. Concrete walls and tinted windows meant to protect the privacy of the patrons in the darkened star also leave them oblivious to the ongoings outside. Chase calmly walks towards the door. He then reaches with his left hand and grabs a hold of the door handle, then opens the door. Inside the bar, there are 6 circular gray metal tables. They are in 2 rows of 3 on either side of the door, with a row of 2 on either side of those tables, making 10 circular tables in the middle of the room, along with 3 corner booths, leaving 1 corner empty on the left side of the bar, where a black door sits instead. The floors of the bar are a white ceramic tile, with the bar counter being made of a white material similar to marble with a black cracked design. The bartender is a man with orange skin and white hair, as well as 4 arms. He wears a white silk shirt with a red apron. There are 4 waitresses, each with ivory skin and dark brown hair. They are wearing red one-piece bodysuits with black aprons and black boots. Chase can tell from a glance that the women are Earth origin. Humans have a stigma for being dumb and violent brutes, making it hard for them to find work outside of monarchy territory. So they take what they can get, making it not uncommon for Chase to find them in places like this. There are 39 current bar patrons seated amongst the tables and booths. 26 of them are wearing the same armor as the guards outside. 13 of them are wearing the gray, red, and silver clothes currently in fashion this season for this city. The lens has the bounty amount posted above the heads of each of the 26 armored individuals, as well as whether they are wanted dead or alive, or wanted alive for questioning. When Chase walks in, many of the bar patrons stop their conversations and turn to look at him, reaching a hand for weapons placed on the table, including the two black armored men sitting side by side to Chase's right, who have decided to seat themselves beside the door. The once bustling room has now quieted down to a few conversations in the booths. Chase simply holds up his hands, showing to everyone that he is not holding any weapons. Hey, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you're gonna need more people. As everyone reaches to grab their weapons, Chase, with his right hand, slams the helmeted head of the armored man closest to him into the metal table, hard enough to dent both. Everyone aims, then fires, while with his left hand, Chase pulls the guard beside that same man by the back of his armored collar, putting him in between Chase and every shot fired from the room. This causes the armor, normally protective against plasma blasts, to overheat and cook the man inside of it. At the point of impact, Chase does a roundhouse kick to the lip of the table, knocking the now brain-dead guard onto the floor and causing the table to flip up onto its side. From behind the cloud of smoke and glow of the red-hot armor, he lets go of the guard and jumps behind the table, putting both feet on the bottom two legs and grabbing the top right leg of the table. As the upturned table Chases on begins to roll away, he fires at two guards, grabbing the weapons and beginning to get up from the closest table to the left of the door. Two blasts strike the chests of the two guards, sending them flying back at the speed of a plasma blast. They slam into a guard seated at a booth with two civilians, leaving the three guards unmoving and the two bystanders scared but unhurt, while the upturned table Chases on continues to roll to the right side of the room. A sudden stop sends Chase flying, sliding on top of the table in the right corner booth. There are four civilians around the table. Chase uses his right forearm to block a shot to his face, and then to block another shot to his chest, before using his right shin to block a blast to the chest of a civilian on his right side. He uses his right forearm to block the face of the other one beside them.
It's a bug! Be on your guard!
The remaining civilians begin crawling to the door. The four waitresses are already behind the bar counter. Chase uses his right forearm to block two shots, one to his face and one to his right shoulder, and then fires a shot into his own right palm that glows blue, before sending his right hand towards the table he rolled in on. The concussive blast shoots from his right hand in full force, stronger than his previous shots. It hits the side of the table and explodes, sending it wideways across the tops of the next three tables, at the same speed as the blast. 6 dive out of the way, leaving 7 to twitch on the ground, either having been in the way of the table or hit hard enough to be knocked out of the way, breaking several bones. Chase jumps off his back onto the floor, landing onto his feet to jump into a flying cartwheel, knees to his chest, as 4 blasts hit the plates covering his shins, knocking him back against the wall on the right side of the door and putting him 10 feet away from 3 of the guards, each having just narrowly avoided the table. The one closest to him, to the right of the door, gets himself back up to one knee, only to receive a right push kick to the face that sends the back of his helmet into the edge of the table behind him, leaving a dent in the table for his body to hang from. The guard in front of the door picks up his gun. Chase roundhouse kicks it out of his hand with his right foot, causing him to fall back onto his face. He then lifts up that same leg to block a blast to his body with his right shin, before blocking a blast to his face with his right forearm. The guard to the left of the door, on top of a table, barely gets a chance to get up, where Chase points his left hand in a clenched fist, firing a concussive blast directly at the top part of the man's helmet, causing it to cave in his skull and send him into a backflip off the table. Chase shoots another blast into his right palm, where it sits as a glowing sphere, while the guard in front of the door, now disarmed, lunges for his waist, just to be grabbed by the helmet by Chase sticking his thumb and forefinger in the eye holes. The guard grabs Chase's wrist, while Chase pulls him horizontally in front of him across the table, allowing his back to be peppered by friendly fire. He lays him across the table before throwing the blue sphere of plasma in his right hand right at his chest. He explodes against his breastplate, shattering his ribcage and sending him flying at the same speed of a plasma blast into the 3 guards standing behind the tables in front of the bar, breaking many of their bones as well. Focus lens highlights the order, and Chase fires at 3 guards behind a table in front of the bar counter, right, left, and middle. At the same time as they fire at him, the 3 blasts collide in the same order, causing a cloud of smoke and sparks. But this time, the compact atmospheric density of Chase's plasma blasts allowed them to easily blow through that of the rifles, allowing the blue concussive blasts to continue, emerging from the smoke and striking the 3 guards in that order, knocking them into the bar counter behind them. With his right forearm, he blocks 2 shots, one to his shoulder, then one to his face. Then he lifts up his right shin to block 2 shots to his torso. The words incoming call appear on the top right hand side of Chase's vision before he dives beneath the table on the left side of the door before standing up, tilting it onto its side and using it as cover. Lens answer the call. A translucent image of Esha Duran appears in the same outfit as if she was standing right in front of Chase. But this is merely an image in the focus lens that no one can see but him, unlike the holograms of most communication devices. Meanwhile, standing in her underground base amongst her researchers and guards, Esha gets a full holographic projection of Chase on one foot, leaning with his hand pressed against an upturned table.
Chase Lindell, you played me like a fool, pretending to be a smuggler down on his luck. That type of disrespect is not something I take lightly. A mistake no one makes What's that sound? Is this a bad time?
No, not at all. 1 second. Those of you still standing, this is by design. You're wanted alive for questioning. Throw down your weapons and you'll continue to live a relatively blameless life. 5 weapons hit the ground so fast and hard you'd think they bit their owners. Chase walks out from behind the table and begins walking towards the remaining armored guards, 2 of which are behind a table near the left wall, and 3 of them are behind a table in the top left corner booth. As he walks towards them, Esha not only gets a feed of him, but also what's in his immediate vicinity.
Are those bodies on the ground? I found out you were a bounty hunter and thought you were looking for one man, not heading to go rip through an entire crime den.
I am looking for one man. They just all happen to also be here. The remaining guards mother amongst themselves, much to Esha's shock and horror. Put down your weapon pretty fast.
Yeah, he took out like 21 of us by himself. Is he on a call right now? He shot through the blasts!
Esha looking around the room right now for only 20 armed associates and 20 non-combatant researchers sitting at their computers.
I only have 20 men, and he forced another 5 to surrender on top of the 21 he already killed. And what do they mean he shot through the blasts?
Chase reaches the 5 remaining armored guards and strikes each of them on the side of their neck, a commonly effective tactic for each race with both a blood flow and a brain in their heads. One by one, they go unconscious. Chase begins systematically removing the helmets of the other guards and shooting them in the face.
Listen, Chase, I'm sorry for prying into your details and finding out your name. I simply wanted to know what I did to inspire such distrust, and why you would want to start such a beautiful friendship with such dishonesty.
Huh. You know, I could have sworn you were mad. Maybe even enough to...
Goodness, no. Perish the thought. I'd have to be a fool to make an enemy of a man as dangerous as you, who's good at finding people. I do hope that we can remain friends.
Listen, Esha Duran. We both know each other's names, so the bar really isn't that high. You and I will remain friends until you try to kill me. You know, I heard that canceling a contract is a lot harder and more expensive than starting one.
Oh, you don't say. Well, it's good to know we both like giving out random facts. It's nice to have something in common.
He says, trying to keep the annoyance out of her voice, for Chase was right. He could tell her that paying them off is enough, whether he ceased the operation or not, but she is a criminal after all, so I think I'll let her sweat. We'll pick this conversation back up in a moment. I have to do something you're not allowed to see, otherwise I will have to kill you.
Of course, I will respect your privacy.
Chase walks over to the black door on the left side of the bar, and he looks towards the 5 bar attendants hiding behind the bar counter. You have 2 choices. You can leave, or I can knock you out like the other 5. 5 of them get up to their feet and run out of the bar. Chase looks at the wall, while the focus lens highlights an outline of everyone in the other room. It places their names above their heads. They appear to be sitting at a long table that stretches from the left side of the room to the right side of the room. Chase pulls up a panel on his left bracer, removing from it a cylinder that is 2 inches wide and 4 inches long. He throws it behind his back and it attaches itself to one of the empty positions on the backside of his metal sash. He then opens a slot on the metal sash that goes across his chest and pulls out another cylinder that he places into the open slot of his left bracer before closing the panel. Death Stream. Chase points his left fist towards the left corner of the wall, then clenches it. This fires a solid beam straight through the wall. Chase moves his left arm from the left side of the wall to the right side of the wall, in a line that he only curbs in order to make a perfect silhouette of Jeppo DeLonigan, who's seated in the middle position of the table, before continuing the straight line across the room. Chase then punches his right hand through the wall, grabbing a scared Jeppo DeLonigan, pulling him straight out of his chair. His back lay on the ground. He looks up at Chase, terrified. All of them just fell in half. Whoop. Chase stomps on his face to stop his prattling and knock him out. As he looks around the room at all the people he's going to now have to carry onto his ship one by one, only one thought crosses his mind. Man, I miss having a squad.